Please stand for a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming. In compliance with New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 of BL 1975, I hereby declare that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided, specifying that this meeting will be held on this date, Monday, May 2nd, 2016, in the Municipal Building, 55 River Road, Edgewater, New Jersey, at 7 p.m. This notice was published in the Record, the Jersey Journal, and posted on the bulletin board in the lobby of the Borough Hall and posted on our website. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilman Henwood.
Here.
Councilwoman Wallen. Here. Councilman Montier.
Here.
Councilman Margell.
Here.
Councilman Fischetti. Councilman Martellino.
Here. Very good. Thank you all. Before we get started, I just wanted to give a quick mayoral update. What we're going to talk about in this meeting going forward. Again, I want to thank everyone for coming. Before opening up to public, I would like to offer an update on the progress regarding Veterans Field. That's why we're here. We have received the second round of bids for completion of the final stage of Veterans Field. As you may know from the paper, all 5 bids are significantly higher than our estimate for the cost of completion. So we have several decisions to make tonight which will continue the path towards completion of the park. Number one, the first order of business will be to approve additional bonding of funds which will be required to award the contract to complete the field. Based on preliminary information and additional analysis that will be provided tonight by our borough engineer, CME, we will rapidly move forward to make the necessary decisions to complete the field as soon as possible. Among other options that we may make tonight would be either to reject the bids and enter immediate negotiations with the submitted contractors to lower the overall price, change the bid spec, or downsize the project with certain amenities and considering to an overall lower price, or bond the entire amount that is required to complete the bid based on the submissions we received last week. I believe we all share the same goal as everyone in Edgewater, and that is to move quickly and financially responsible to complete the project at Veterans Field. And just to note, 2 weeks from tonight, we will be making, based on what we talk about here tonight, we'll be making a decision exactly what direction we're going to go. With that said, at this point, Council, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think we should go ahead and open the meeting to the public and then ask CME for an update.
Very good. At this point, I'd like to... Yes, sir.
Just a quick question for council. In fact, we can only make the final decision 2 weeks from tonight based on bonding tonight.
If you're going to award it, yes, you have to wait till...
So that's as soon as we can.
So we couldn't do it tonight. We'd have to wait for 2 weeks in any event. Okay. Whatever decision we make.
Right, and even then, the award would have to be conditional on the bond, the stop period.
Of 20 days.
Very good. Okay. And as I had said, I believe we all share the same goal to move this forward as quickly and as financially responsible as we can. Okay, at this time, I'd like to open up the meeting to the public. Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Mary?
Mary Hogan, 606 Underwood Avenue in Edgewater. You talked about the borough, it's higher than the borough estimate of the bid. What was the borough's estimate?
8.7.
There you go.
Point of order, just I think.
Mayor, we'll follow the same...
So you're not going to tell me right
No, not right here. I don't want to converse with you, but we have our engineers here.
Yeah,
They will
I
have that all.
understand.
They'll have that all ready.
I understand, but,
That's the form we've had for a while.
well, that's just the increase, the 8.5. I know that how that, we're already up to 28 too, according to this ordinance, correct?
Yeah.
The 8.5, oh, you're not answering, I'm sorry.
Yeah, wait till...
My question is the 8,005 that's in this ordinance, is that for the amenities? Or is that for more remediation? I'm not quite sure what that's for. If it's for the amenities, then we're paying $19,700,000 for the remediation. This is now the third ordinance amending the original ordinance of 1474-2012. Every time it's been an increase. I know the original bid was like $8 million, which included the remediation the little remediations that was supposed to be done, and the amendments. So we're now up to 28.2, and I'm hoping that includes the amenities and the remediation. So my other question, which you probably won't answer or can't answer, is where do we stand on the lawsuit? Do you have really intent to get $21,200,000 back from the person that contaminated or whoever is involved in the lawsuit? And I know that we had paid them $3 million, Waterside, and that the bond, I think, is only 7 or 8. So that would give us a net of 4 if we got everything from the bond. So as a taxpayer, it looks to me like we're going to get $4 million and the field is going to cost us $24,200,000. The other thing I wanted to ask is, it's a 15-year bond. So I was just wondering, what's the figures per year on a 15-year bond for $28,200,000? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to be heard? Yes. Valerie, it's you.
Mallory Martinez, 16 Hudson Terrace.
Is the mic on?
Valerie Bardines, 16 Hudson Terrace. It would have been probably a little better, since you're not asking questions for the public, to have information, to have our experts give their presentation and then allow us to speak, because they might have already answered what we're asking. All right. So anyway, I just want to comment on the way the meeting is run, and I'm not blaming you, Mayor McPartlin, you're just following suit. However, I've had lots of discrepancies with former Mayor Christensen, many, well documented. However, he ran an open meeting. He not only opened the meeting to the public in the beginning of the meeting, he opened it at the end. And he was strong enough in his position, I would say, to allow the people, the public, to speak, and then be engaged by the council and get answers. I have to give him kudos to that, because at that time, I was a council person, these meetings ran to 1 or 2 in the morning, because the room was packed with people from the town who felt like they actually were engaged. Now when you meet people in town, their response is, what's the point? What's the point? Nobody answered you. And it is true. So please stop rolling your eyes, because I have come here meeting after meeting and asked question after question. I've even put my questions in writing, and rarely do I get answers to all my questions. You might touch on one, but you rarely answer all of them. And then, I get the smirks and the rolling eyes, and after I sit, maybe a nasty comment. So I just was looking over some quick notes that I have, and on, I know Ms. Hogan talked about the lawsuit, and I'm really interested because the amounts of this is astronomical. And I came across one of the letters from our attorney representing us in our lawsuit, Mr. Corsten, and the letter is dated August 18, 2014, and in the last paragraph, number 3, he says, ordinarily a plaintiff cannot recover its litigation fees, including expert fees. However, certain statutes permit the recovery of attorney's fees and costs. As originally pled, the complaint contained 2 bases for the recovery of attorney's fees and costs, which Dives defendants now seek to have voluntarily dismissed: Civil RICO and the Consumer Fraud Act. Since the Borough of Edgewater has agreed not to pursue the Civil RICO claim at this time, it is critical that it continue to pursue a Consumer Fraud Act against all potentially responsible parties. So I would like to know, as a taxpayer, have we dropped the Consumer Fraud Act from the lawsuit? And if we have, how do we expect to recover our attorney fees and our costs? Because $28 million to redo the field does not include attorney's fees. And I'm sure those are up in the millions. And I'm really concerned, considering some of the personal and business relationships that occur between Mr. Dives and the governing body. It really concerns me. So on March 26, 2014, the council stated that their goal was to get the park remediated and negotiate aggressively. All legal rights are at our disposal. I think you said that, Stanley. On May 14, 2014, the council said, we are committed to get the park finished. And I don't dispute that you're not trying to do that. However, I feel that you're letting Mr. Dives off the hook. If originally this park was going to be remediated and redone at $8 million, Waterside came in and dumped so much toxins that it couldn't be measured on an ordinary scale. It had to be diluted because the numbers were off the chart. And the fact that he may just walk away and the taxpayers are going to be holding this burden is really troubling. Really, really. And I would like some real answers. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public wish to be heard? Peter?
Consideration of the cost of the upcoming bond, I would ask you to be very careful with the bids and try to negotiate them down as much as you can. Our town is growing, and based on the approvals for new housing, I think we'll have to be facing another school in another 5 years. So as much as we need the field, we need the schools, there's many things that the costs will just continue to rise unless we're very careful on the spending. I ask you for your consideration of that.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard from the public? Jimmy?
Hi guys, most of you know Jimmy Deanna, 16 Adelaide Place. I know you guys are really tough, you're in a tough position with the taxpayers beating down on you, trying to hold the thing down to a low budget, and everybody wanting the field done. But we had a meeting here last year about the reconfiguration of the field. We all agreed on everything. We all liked the multi part of it, the lights, the dumping station. Why are we going to start to negotiate that stuff off? We have a state-of-the-art, beautiful facility that we were going to do. Now all of a sudden we're going to start changing it and making it an ordinary park again. Come on guys, we have one chance to do this right and make it a beautiful, beautiful park. I would say bite the bullet, award a contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. Anyone else in the public wish to be heard? Okay, at this time, I'll close the meeting to the public. This time,
Mayor, do you want
Yes,
me
sir.
to address any of those?
yes, yeah, we can do that. Let's do that. Okay, absolutely. Good.
All right, councilors,
I
starting
want to
with
address some of that.
Starting with Mr. Deanna,
Sure.
just so you know, I appreciate your comment. The law does not allow you to negotiate away substantive changes to the bid specifications. So if a contract is awarded on the entirety of the bid, then we are essentially negotiating only the price, not individual items. There are some exceptions to that, in that there are deletion items in the bid specifications, which the engineers can explain when they get up, but basically, it's not a negotiation the way you and I might think a normal negotiation is in terms of, changing one type of fencing for another type of fencing or anything like that. You have to basically keep the bid specifications the way they work. So that may help ease what you're discussing, what you're thinking about over there. Secondly, as to Ms. Hogan, the bonding does include the amenities, soup to nuts, So that's one of your questions. It's our hope that this is the last bonding that will be necessary for the project in its totality. As to the lawsuit, which was addressed by both Ms. Hogan and Ms. Martinez, I don't know where you're coming up with the idea that somebody's being let off the hook. There's nothing at all out there to suggest that that's the case. The lawsuit continues. It's a very, very complex litigation. Very complex. It includes very entrenched defendants who don't want to hand over money to the town of Edgewater without the case moving forward. So where you're getting any idea that someone is being let off the hook, there's nothing out there to suggest that other than what you might be thinking. The case continues to move forward. There have been changes to the case. I will look into what you asked about.
Consumer fraud.
I will look into that for you for the next meeting. Off the top of my head, I can't recall what the status of that claim is, but I will look into it. But in the meantime, you guys have been on the council before, so you understand that litigation and the details of the litigation cannot be discussed in public. They need to be discussed between the council and its attorneys, which it has been doing all along. Everyone has been very well kept up to date here and knows exactly where we are with the litigation. But unfortunately, some of those details can't be disclosed in public. But there's absolutely no reason to think that anyone is being let off the hook in that litigation. It continues moving fully forward. It's in a discovery phase right now for which there is a tremendous amount of documents being passed back and forth between the plaintiffs and the defendants. I understand your concern about attorney's fees. That's always a concern for anybody who's involved in litigation. It's a concern for this council. However, the attorney's fees in comparison to the total cost of the project really are extremely small. So I wish they were larger, but although they're not coming to me.
Councilor, can we just add that what we're looking at as far as that lawsuit is concerned, with the price tag on that?
Yeah, I mean, the estimates have been that the amount of damage that we're looking to collect on paper, what we can prove may be different, but it's roughly $12 million.
Thank you.
So there's a lot of complicated things to that. The bond information that was provided earlier by Ms. Hogan is not correct. The bond amount is correct, but we're not limited to $3 or $4 million of it. So I don't know why she could suggest.
Counselor, just.
I don't
just
even remember that
detail.
question.
All attorney fees are incorporated in this bond amount, so they're not over and above these. They have to be paid within these bondings. They are being paid within these bondings, correct? Right?
I'm not sure where the litigation fees are coming out.
yeah.
Including the litigation been paid so far, okay.
What?
Um,
What is that, Counselor?
I think we addressed most of those questions.
How about the borough
Okay,
estimate?
at this point, I'd like to call on our
Wasn't
engineers.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
Ms.
sir.
Sarah Disby, she asked the question, what was the borough's engineer's estimate for this phase? It was 8.5.
Oh, it was 8 point, I'm sorry, excuse
The
me.
bids came in around 12, that's the question she asked.
8.5 million for the final phase, the whole from here to the end, $8.5 million.
And they came out with these huge bids?
Yeah, that's what it came out with. So that's why we're trying to be as fiscally responsible as we can at this point, and that's why we're here tonight. CME, I would like you to step to the microphone and give us an update on what your feelings and your thoughts are going forward on the project.
Mr. Mayor, while they're getting seated, I think it
Sure.
should be noted that these meetings with these gentlemen in subcommittees and
Yes.
and personally are happening every week and for months and years gone past. And it's not just tonight is the night we're finding out and everyone gets to come by and haven't been here for a while. This is day in and day out, and thank you.
And thank you, and I just want to add to that, Mike, to your point, I am the most transparent guy in the room, I think. I think I've been out there and talking around, I am around town, and I let everyone know to the best of my ability, not necessarily in a public meeting as such, but I am out there letting everyone know what direction we're going. So, that said, gentlemen,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate your time. Since last Monday night, we were asked to begin to continue at least our review of bid items. Just a correction, our estimate is 8.7 million, not 8.5.
okay.
Not that he's paying any, but it's obviously 8.7 number. We have taken a look at the bids. You have received 5 bids. One bid was much lower than the approximate 12 million, and that bid, unfortunately, the contractor requested that we have the bid released. So we basically looked at the remaining 4 bids and tried to go through and take a look at what items were bid by each contractor and whether or not the negotiations would be fruitful, and we're prepared to basically commence that process when and if the mayor and council authorize that phase. Should the borough decide to award the project with us 1 or 2 or all the deletion items, we're ready to begin and work with your contractor to get the construction started right away. So we're at your disposal, and we are ready and able to continue when we're ready.
So just, if I can, Mr. Mayor.
Sure, go ahead.
I just want to, so the public's aware of the options that are in front of this council. The first option would be, of course, to accept the lowest responsible bidder, if we were to choose that. What is that amount that the lowest bidder, not including the one that asked to be released?
It's $11,978,000. It's $11,978,822.35.
Now, the bid specifications provided that there were a certain number of deletion items, correct? And
That is correct.
And those deletion items, we could also award a contract for the base amount, which was without any deletion items, or for some number of deletion items which are included, correct?
That's absolutely correct.
And if we were to accept the bid with no deletion items included in it, what would have been the low amount on that bid?
With what deletion actor?
Yes.
The second, there's approximately 200 items.
Right.
I have it here.
That would be $7,471,110.89.
Now, the other 2 options, I'm saying this more for the public's edification. Obviously, you guys and I have had many conversations over the last week about this. But the other 2 options are to reject the bids entirely and go out to bid a 3rd time, or reject the bids and negotiate with the individual contractors, correct?
That's our intent.
For the entire bid with no deletions. Negotiation.
Well, I think from a legal standpoint, you could negotiate the deletion items as well, but you have to still do them in order.
Okay.
And with each contractor, the law requires that you, at minimum, enter into negotiations with every responsible bidder who placed the bid and wants to negotiate. So, and then from that, you could negotiate the deletion items too, as long as you're doing apples to apples, more or less, you could still do that. So, essentially, those are the items. Now, Mr. Mayor, as you know, CME and I have been on the phone many times over the last week or 2 regarding this. I know you have been involved in many conversations with me and them as well, and also your own conversation with them. And I know that Greg has also been involved in many of those discussions. This, my opinion anyway, it's a very complex bid. There's over 200 items that had to be analyzed by CME.
Is that the bid spec there? That's the size of 2 phone books.
So there's a lot going on there, and I know that in our individual discussions, you have been of the opinion that at least at this point in time, and I agree with you, that perhaps it's best not to take any options off the table at this point, and to look towards trying to get some satisfactory contract available to us by the May 16th meeting so that your schedule can keep moving forward.
Correct.
So,
Counselor, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
And I'm doing this because for my own decision, and I asked you a question right now with the same public. If in fact we don't reject the bids as an option tonight, and with the full intention of accepting the bid, and we take off a few deletion items, which have to be done in chronological order, we've already established. And we accept it with a couple, let's say we take a couple out to get the price right. We can then go back, if we have money left in the bond, and we would, because it would be a lesser price, and go and complete those under separate contracts, separate bids.
yes.
Okay.
You can actually go back and negotiate them back in with the contractor you select if you're willing to pay that amount. But otherwise, you
We'll go back
are
up.
capable to go back out.
We can do it simultaneous construction, we can get a better,
Yes.
we can, okay, scale down.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of the items that you and I talked about might not necessarily be only for price. It may be because you want to change something and manipulate the actual thing that you're purchasing.
Got it.
So, and that's certainly an opportunity because it's a different project, about a different item you're purchasing.
That's huge in my mind, but thank you.
So as I was saying,
Yes, sir.
I know that you and I have talked previously about what to do at this point, and it seems to me, and I'll let you make a decision with the council, but it would be my suggestion at this point that items 2016-109A and 2016-109B be tabled to next week's mayor and council meeting.
2 weeks.
Sorry, 2 weeks, May 16th. I should remember, that's my daughter's birthday.
Right.
Table those until that time so that all options still remain on the table, notwithstanding the fact that I know, and we've talked about it publicly, that your intention is to try and get some contract moving forward by that May 16th meeting.
That is correct.
So as we vote, just so I can be clear, it's our, if I go along with what you're suggesting, take out the rejection of the bids tonight, that our full intention is to offer some contract 2 weeks from now and move forward.
Yeah, that option is still.
As long as the price is right, we're all comfortable with it, this is our full intention.
That's my intention.
Okay.
But procedurally speaking, to do what I'm suggesting here now,
Yeah.
first, because all of our
I see what you're
resolutions are
saying.
in number G, I
Gotcha.
would suggest that if that's what you want to do, we should have a motion, maybe we should ask for a motion to table those two items.
Should I do that now or when we get to that?
No, I would do it now.
Okay,
And then we'll
so let's,
handle the rest of your.
okay, very good. So we're going a little out over, let's do that. Okay, so can I get a motion from the council to table 2016, resolution 2016-109-A and 2016-109-B?
So moved.
And can I get a second?
Second.
Very good. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilman Henwood.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lloyd.
Yes.
Councilman Mashi.
Yes.
Councilman Wendell.
Yes.
Councilman Bartolome.
Yes.
Very good. So those two resolutions are tabled. Okay, very good. Now, as far as continuing with the meeting, council, where do we go from here? We just go to the approval of the minutes? We go to eight.
Skip that, did we not? Yes, let's go back to.
So we'll go back to, at this point, we need approval of the minutes of April 18th, 2016.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Councilman Henwood.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lloyd.
Yes.
Councilman Mashi.
Yes.
Councilman Wendell.
Yes.
Councilman Bartolome.
Yes. Okay, very good. Do we need to read the whole ordinance or the ordinance? So can I get a motion? I need a motion for an introduction of ordinance number 2016-1534. An ordinance of the Borough of Edgewater in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, amending ordinance number 1474-2012 of the Borough, finally adopted on May 24, 2012, as amended by ordinance number 1514-2014 of the Borough, finally adopted on September 15, 2014, and by ordinance number 1519-2015 of the Borough, finally adopted on May 18, 2015, providing for various improvements to Veterans Field in and for the Borough of Edgewater and appropriating $28,200,000 therefore, and providing for the issuance of $26,790,000 in bonds or notes of the Borough of Edgewater to finance the same. Can I get an introduction? Can I get
I'll introduce it.
and a second? And can I get a roll call, please?
Councilman Henwood.
This approach entirely is, in my mind, the most sensible, financially responsible, and quickest way to move forward, yes.
Councilwoman Lloyd.
Yes.
Councilman Mashi.
Yes.
Councilman Wendell.
Yes.
Councilman Bartolome.
Yes, very good.
And if just the clerk can read into the minutes when the public hearing and final adoption of that ordinance will be proposed.
May 16, 2016.
2 weeks from tonight.
Yes.
Very good.
7 o'clock?
Resolution.
I'm sorry.
7 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Yeah, 2 weeks from tonight at 7 o'clock. Regular meeting, correct. Resolutions, next resolutions, 26, consent agenda on resolutions 2016-104 to 2016-107. Can I have, excuse me, 108, excuse me. Can I get a motion? Second?
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Councilman Henwood.
I'll say yes, with exception of 108, I'll abstain.
Very good.
Councilwoman Lloyd.
Yes.
Councilman Mashi.
Yes.
Councilman Wendell.
Yes.
Councilman Bartolome.
Yes.
Very good. Anything else up for discussion? I'll start to my left. Any other reports or comments tonight there, Councilman
I'll
Henry?
wait for the regular meeting in 2 weeks, thanks.
Very good. Councilman Lawler, Councilman Monty, Councilman Vidal, Councilman Bartolome, anything else to add? Okay, Borough Administrator, would you like to add anything?